One day in kindergarten, when I was only 5 years old, we were given an assignment to write down what we wanted to be when we grew up. I sat down and thought very long and very hard about it. And then I wrote down on the paper the phrase, "I want to be dead," and then turned it in. My teacher gave me detention. When I brought home my detention and gave it to my mother and explained what happened, she, of course, took me into her bedroom and beat me with a leather belt. That night, with my heart, face, and butt beaten into submission, I somberly mused to myself in a puddle of tears that God must have put me on earth as a joke, because all I had ever been was this loving kid. All I'd ever wanted was to make the people around me happy. And all I had ever received in return was misunderstanding and punishment. I contracted a chronic insomnia from repeated traumatic experiences in my childhood. And the only solution for sleeping that I discovered was ruminating about how terrible that my life was and how more terrible that it could become. That would make me sad, and then I would cry profusely, and the crying would physically exhaust me so much that eventually I could get to sleep. When that stopped working, because I stopped being able to be sad anymore, I just kind of got left with this constant negative rumination on top of everything that was happening with me and no ability to cope emotionally with what was happening to me. I spent my entire childhood and most of my early 20s in this constant cycle of mental and emotional agony that rotated between traumatizing external circumstances and then unhealthy internal behaviors, unhealthy behaviors towards others. Eventually, I got to watch as that once sensitive and loving kid became angry and bitter and resentful and prideful and started hurting people that I cared about very deeply. Over the course of my teens and early 20s in particular, I developed a pattern of forming and then destroying intimate relationships with great efficiency. I had never seen a healthy relationship, so I didn't know how to make one. It was all guesswork, and I mostly had to learn through failure. I often told myself growing up that I was probably never going to make it to the age of 26. Best case scenario, 29. Because at some point, the only emotional coping mechanism that I had was fantasizing about the day that I would finally find the courage to throw myself off of the Silver Bridge of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, because that's where I grew up, and that bridge has a lot of negative history, as a poetic way of ending the story of my misery. So, maybe you're wondering, if my life was so bad that I wasn't going to make it to 29, how am I doing now? Well, I am 29, and I love my life. To be honest with you, all I can do now is just laugh about the whole thing. Because that's the thing about joy, man. Once you got it, you see it everywhere. So listen, I know we've just met, but if you'd have me, I'd love to be your guide. You give me your trust, and I promise, I will see you rolling lonely no more. Okay, so let's get a harsh fact out of the way right away. No matter what you do, you will never be able to enjoy it more than a 4-year-old doing the exact same thing. That's the funny thing about joy. It's the one thing that human beings are natural born masters at. Give a kid a crayon and a piece of paper, and they'll have more fun drawing the stupidest depiction of Bluey you've ever seen than you've had in your entire adult life. Kids are masters of fun. And when I was a kid, it was hard for me to find something that captivated my little fun factory more than just playing video games. And one such game that, to say the very least, made an incredible impact on me when I was a kid was a game whose name, when translated into English, means Clump Spirit. But everyone just affectionately refers to it by its original Japanese title, Katamari Damacy. Katamari Damacy. Dude, if there was ever a game that tickles you in the childlike sense of wonder, this is it. Every aspect of its design, from its premise to its world, to its controls, to its mechanics, visual design, characters and the music. Dude, just listen to the music. To this day, when I hear that opening tune of Lonely Rolling Star kick in, I can't help but start to whimper with tears of joy and nostalgia. Because in many of my darkest childhood days, Katamari Damacy was the comfort that I needed. It was no surprise for me to hear that the developer of these games, Keita Takahashi, went on to design playgrounds for Japanese children. But of course, not before releasing a killer sequel to Katamari Damacy called We Love Katamari, a game where the plot literally revolves around everybody on Earth falling in love with playing Katamari Damacy. As I am making this video, he is currently about to release a game about a boy who's stuck in a T-pose. So needless to say, this dude just understands how to make people smile. These games are bursting with whimsy at every second. I would even go as far as to say it is literally impossible to play these games while sad without becoming happy. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this game up is it's obvious that this game would be fun for children. I mean, just look at it. But here's a question. Imagine trying to convince any self-serious adult to play a game that looks like this.
That wasn't a question.
The looks and comments you'd get. Yeah, sure, some of them might try it, but a lot of them are just gonna think, oh, okay, it's a game for babies. You like games for babies. Happy Pride Month, I guess. Okay, meanwhile, put this in front of literally any child, okay? You know what they're gonna say? Hey, that looks fun. I play that. Give me that. I'm playing it now. So here's the $1 million question. What gives? What gives, bro? When is the point in our lives where we go from being willing to do literally anything fun to being scared to do anything that is not easy and or socially acceptable? Well, okay, so you remember that bad stuff that happened to you? Yeah, I'm blaming that. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter who you are. We are, all of us, constantly being punished by the world around us for the simple crime of just being ourselves and not what everybody wants us to be, both in ways that are pretty obvious to perceive and in ways that we probably couldn't even comprehend if someone told us. Family screws you up, friends screw you up, education systems screw you up, society screws you up, governments screw you up. Even incredibly simple things like bad public infrastructure can radically change your life to be dramatically worse than it would have been otherwise. And yeah, we didn't invent these problems yesterday. Sadness wasn't invented by capitalism. If we really want to understand this problem, we gotta go deeper, because this is a fundamental problem that starts at your birth. When you are born into this world, you are born with one foundational expectation, which is, I am weak and defenseless. I cannot do anything. Someone must take care of me because I've done poop. Your family, and even though this isn't as common in the modern world for some reason, but the community around you as well, have a primary responsibility to fulfill that inherent wish of every child of, I need somebody to take care of me and acknowledge me and see me. Whether they know it, whether they like it, when a child is born, it is a parent's responsibility and duty to ensure that everything that you need all of the time is taken care of. And the larger community around you's job is to make sure that that job is as easy as possible for you, and so you don't have to do it alone. Because it is a baby's job to need stuff, and it is your job to give stuff. They can't feed themselves, they can't go anywhere on their own, they can't control their own thoughts, their emotions, even their impulses are your responsibility as a parent. But here's the good news! As human beings mature, we can learn step by step how to take on more and more responsibility for our own needs. Doing our own chores, taking care of our own health, managing our own thoughts and emotions, setting reasonable goals and learning how to achieve those goals. Everything that you need to know to just function as a human being can be taught in the course of a child's life. We all intuitively understand that a human being has fully matured when they are capable of taking personal responsibility for everything in their life. They become emancipated from their parents. Their parents become like peers instead of the immortal rulers of bedtime. And they get to go on and live the rest of their life, making of it what they will. It's a beautiful thing. Maybe the most beautiful thing that a human being can experience. And it's also the best case scenario. Because the bad news is, guess what happens if all of that stuff doesn't happen? Trauma. A word that essentially means something happened, I didn't know how to deal with it, and I went with the first thing that worked, so now I've got an opioid addiction. So this is really important to understand. Every experience that we have in life teaches us a particular lesson. It does not matter if we're aware of what the lesson is, or even if we're aware that there's a lesson happening at all. We learn our lessons anyways. And every lesson that we learn is like a colored lens. Our once open-minded perception of reality that we're naturally born with is, over time, tinted with the colors of our experiences. You've probably heard of people who view life too positively as wearing rose-tinted glasses. Rest assured, you can tint your glasses any color that you like, but none of them will ever compare to seeing with clear vision. This is the key concept that I really want you to take away from this video, because once you've got it, and I mean really got it, you will naturally understand how to create joy in your life. So, any good house is built on a solid foundation, so let's build the framework for what is to be our new understanding of existence. With everyone's favorite tool of abstract understanding for the material world. Math! I mean math! Look at this graph. I call it the happy graph. I actually call it the fulfillment quotient, but you don't have to call it that if you don't want. Okay, look, I stole this from a research paper that I saw in Healthy Gamer, all right? Let me just pretend that I went to college. So let's take a closer look at this graph. This graph measures the happiness that you receive from an experience. Over here, we got expectations on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 means high expectations, 1 means low. 5 means neutral. In other words, boredom. So let me tell you a story about my man. His name is John Happy. John Happy is going to a party tonight hosted by a friend of his. It's gonna be a small party in John Happy's friend's apartment with, you guessed it, single ladies. Now, John isn't necessarily the partying type, but he is trying to hook up with a girl, and this seems like it could be a decent opportunity for him. So John's expectations for the party are at about a 7. Let's hope they're hot, John. Let's hope those ladies are smoking hot, John. Now, this bar over here represents reality. In other words, the authentic quality of the experience. Same thing, scale of 1 to 10. 10 is high quality, 1 is low, 5 is neutral. Reality cannot be controlled or changed. It can be influenced a little bit, but what I'm trying to say is if you get hit by a bus, you can't will yourself into having been hit by a naked supermodel instead. Trust me. So John goes to the party, readying to schmooze up some cute girls. And when he arrives, he opens the door and sees his friend and somebody that he doesn't know sitting at a table. And the two of them are chugging Miller Lite and crying. John recoils in a mixture of rage and disappointment. Unfortunately, John took the bus here, and the only bus back won't show up for an hour. So now he's stuck at the Miller Lite crying party for the next hour. So the reality of John's experience was about a 1. Not only does he hate parties, he came to by far the worst idea for a party ever created. He only came because he thought he could hook up with someone, which he can't. And on top of everything, he was manipulated into coming here by someone that he thought he could trust for some reason. And worst of all, he had to drink Miller Lite. So what we're gonna do here is take this number and subtract it by this number, which I call the happiness delta. So, R subtracted by E to get H. In this scenario, our man John Happy got hit with a big fat -6. Needless to say, John Happy is feeling pretty John pissed off. But that's not all! Now we take this number over to this graph. This is a line graph that measures level of fulfillment over time. The middle is neutral, with the line traveling from left to right to represent the passage of time from the past to the future. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure you're still paying attention. So as you can see, before the Miller Lite crying party, John was feeling pretty decently happy about his life. But after the Miller Lite crying party, he has been plunged into unfathomable despair. So if you want to understand joy, it's very simple. Joy, or as I would put it, fulfillment, is a living process that is constantly changing over time. And which way it changes depends entirely on your expectations in relation to reality. And thus the secret to happiness is revealed. Always have expectations that are the same or lower than reality. So all that sounds simple, right? Just manage your expectations and you'll be fine. No. Here's your problem. Can't make a supermodel hit you instead of a bus. Can't change the fact that you went to the Miller Lite crying party. And you cannot go back to being a kid again. That time is over. And all the potential versions of yourself that could have happened had anything else happened in your life all died to create you. When it comes to managing your expectations, if you're really serious about getting rid of yours, we're not just talking about letting go of some vacations or letting go of your dream of one day being a rock star. We're talking true desirelessness here. I am talking about being able to accept that everything that you know and love could die and disappear tomorrow, including your life. Going through all of the dearest emotions that you've ever held in your life and figuring out how to just let them go. And I'm gonna be honest, you probably would have done this already if you were ready for it. And the reason you haven't is you're not ready for it. Look, I understand that a lot of the subjects that I've been talking about and even flippantly joking about might have brought up some harsh emotions from your own past. So let me be very straightforward with you. I don't think people losing their lives is funny. I laugh at my own trauma because I've moved on from it. I've learned how to let it go. And you don't have to let yours go. You don't have to do anything. If there's one thing that I've learned from being for a lot of my life, it's that the one thing that you want in the world is to just feel like you have power and control in your life again. Well, I'm here to say that you do. The one thing no one can ever take away from you is that you have the power and control to feel whatever it is you feel and feel justified in feeling it. Do not take away from this video that I'm here trying to tell anyone that they're wrong or stupid for feeling like what happened to them was wrong and shouldn't have happened. What I am here to say is, if you're sick of feeling it, I might be able to help. Take it or leave it, man. The ball's in your court. I just brought it here because I know you like doing layups. Now, don't get me wrong. The spiritual path can lead you to desirelessness. But let's not play Buddha here. No one watching this video is ready to just let go of all their expectations about everything. Most of us here, including myself, probably don't know what 95% of their expectations are in the first place. And on top of that, I'm not enlightened, so I can only get you as far as I've gone. Look, I assume you're here because you have some real questions about the world and you want some real answers. So here's what I can give you. I can't give you a guru's grace and wisdom. I can't magically make all of your pain go away. I can't touch you on the forehead or like spit in my hands and rub them into your eyes and now you can see or whatever the hell. Okay, I'm not that guy. I know I look like it. I'm not that guy. But what I can give you are just the basic tools that you need to start cultivating your own wisdom. And I can make it fun. So the first thing I want you to understand is this. Children come into this world with only one expectation. That is why they are happy. Fundamentally, as long as the world around them is taking care of them, they are absolutely free to do and be whatever the hell they want. And that sense of freedom, that lack of expectation, not a low expectation, just not having a bunch of them formed in the first place, that is the core aspect of joy. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. Just because you can't be a kid again doesn't mean that you can't feel like a kid again. And the road to regaining your childlike joy starts with, of course, letting go of your expectations. Now, there's all kinds of real, genuine meditations that you can do in the yogic tradition that would be perfect for helping you do that. But I'm not a yogi, and this is a series about video games. So allow me to propose to you the first of Charles's gaming meditations. So I call this little practice Katamari star making, or in Japanese, whatever that says. So the whole point of Katamari Damacy is rolling up a bunch of random crap into a big ball and then turning it into a star. So that's what we're gonna do. So for this practice, you're gonna need the following objects: a pen, a piece of paper, a small cardboard box that you don't mind losing, a lighter or matchsticks, a safe place outdoors to light a fire, and if you are under the legal adult age in your country, instead of a lighter or matches, you should stop watching my videos right now before I end up the next Beavis and Butthead. Okay, so if you didn't get that reference, you're also too young. Now on this piece of paper, you're going to write down a list of the 10 things in life that cause you the most suffering. It could be fears that you have, things that happen to you, things that haven't happened to you, anything that you can't help but feel terrible about when you think about it. Make sure that they are really important, valuable things to you. Like, I'm scared that I'll always be alone, and not like, I'm scared of having diarrhea on my first date. Now, as you're writing this, patiently and consciously, take a moment with each thing that you write down to really feel the emotions that writing it down elicits in you. When you're done writing everything on the list, take another moment to just kind of soak in the whole experience. Read it to yourself. Just, how do you feel after writing all that down? When did you start having all these fears? Why are you so scared of them? Then, only when you're ready, roll the list up into a katamari, throw your katamari in the box, take the box, the lighter, and the list outside, and make yourself a star. Enjoy this moment with yourself, watching all of your deepest fears just burn away and scatter to the wind. That is the old you, and it's going away. Let it go. Let it go. Nothing else to do. Just let it go. When that's over, and you've, of course, responsibly disposed of the remnants of the fire, now you get to do the fun part. Go ahead and treat yourself to any activity that you'd enjoy doing. Bonus points if it's your favorite thing, or if it's something that you like but have recently struggled to do. Hey, I've got a great idea. Why not try playing Katamari Damacy? This is the kind of game that you don't have to be familiar with video games to play. So hey, if you're new to gaming, you've never played a video game before in your life, this would be a great first step. Now, regardless of whatever you decide to do, you will see that your joy in whatever activity that you chose to do has increased substantially. And the reason is because you're thinking like a child. Because this is what children are thinking. I don't care if a bunch of bad things happen to me, because at the end of the day, someone is going to take care of me. Children can afford to be fearlessly happy because they believe with all their heart that no matter what happens, someone is going to take care of them. And it's not a lie to tell yourself the same thing just because you're an adult or you don't live with your parents anymore, because someone is going to take care of you. It's you. It's always been you. So good job, kid. You've grown up so much. Just keep taking care of yourself. Do the best that you can. And remember the golden rule. Have fun.